Hey guys, my name is Bruce. I'm going to be doing a 1,000-mile review on my 25 Polaris Northstar Ranger. I've had it about maybe a little over a month, and we just did a 1,000-mile trip in Maine after the first service, so it's got roughly 1,200, 1,300 miles on it. So I'm just going to go over a few things of what I thought about it and how it rode and what I found. There wasn't many reviews online when I was looking to buy one, besides from bigger YouTubers, I guess, that had just seen the machine, not had used it and had an honest review after so many miles or so much time in it. So I'm going to go over that. I'm going to start with a walk around of just what the machine looks like now. I did a few upgrades to it, added a few features to make my trip a little easier. We'll start with the rack up top. I know, I believe Rough Country, Copland, maybe Polaris has a version. This was actually on Amazon. It was, I think, under $200. It had the saw holder hole. It's adjustable, and it fit the pack out mounts perfect, and plenty of room for the cab. You can actually put it any configuration. I also got a set of hold downs that just go into the factory Polaris holes. They're rubber, and when you tighten them, it holds it down. That did great. And then I also added this bumper. This was another Amazon purchase, and I put a slim 20-inch light bar in there. And Polaris actually already ran a plug for the reverse light or camera if it was the ultimate, which this is a premium. The next thing is the bed. I mean, plenty of room. I have a easy up in there, the tent. This is a pretty good sized cooler, and I got a 5-gallon fuel caddy for that trip. I would have liked to mount it up here, but that wasn't going to work with the height of the cooler, but still no problems. Doesn't come with a bed liner, textured mat underneath. It does have 3 5-gallon spots actually molded into the bed, so that's pretty neat. Tailgate latch, it's just in the plastic. It still shuts pretty good. For doing 1,000 miles, some pretty rough trails in Maine, it never opened, nothing ever fell out, no problems, so pretty stoked with that. Another thing is full-size hitch receiver, not a 1.25 inch like some of the other models. This is 2.5. And while I'm down here, we'll talk about the shocks. So I actually have it on the second to last stiffest setting. When we took off, there was a lot more in the bed than this. Probably, I'm gonna guess total 700-800 pounds. The A-arms were almost flat. So one day when we were unloading, I jacked it up and cranked the shocks up, and that helped a lot. So I got the bed tipped up. I just popped the hitch out because the bumper does hit with the drop hitch reversed. Same style, just a latch. Pretty easy to lift up. Goes pretty far. Pretty standard on most of the Rangers, just configuration. Airbox, belt, exit, I believe. The intake is up front. I will show you that later. Clutch housing seems to be a good amount bigger. It looks a little tight. If I had to get it out, we haven't had to do a clutch service yet. And this is my first time with a Northstar edition. So here is you have another pulley for your alternator and your AC compressor. So this has another crank seal on it. One would be your primary, this one is for your accessories. And they say that this is a common thing with leaking. I haven't had signs of anything leaking yet out of there's a drain there, it's just a rubber drain. They say once you start seeing residue dripping out of that. But this is a April build, I believe, so maybe they put a better seal in, I'm not sure, but it's been good. It does have grease fittings on all the sway bar bushing locations. And the oil filter is right down there. It's a little bit of a pain to get to. The first oil change I did, I spilled a little bit, but also here is your breather, must be for the alternator and the AC compressor. And when looking into buying one of these, I was curious of the height you could go in the water. So they call it water fording height, and they say about even with the floorboards. So if you look, the floorboards are below the alternator and the AC compressor. So I'm assuming that this is probably not sealed as great. Maybe like the belt housing, if you sit too long in water, the water will get in, and alternators don't like being underwater. So if yet to be in water that deep, we were probably about here. We had a little bit of water get in the cab in one of the puddles we went through, but no issues. All right, I'm gonna show you some features on the front. Same thing, single shocks, no reservoir. There's your AC lines, the fill and check, I believe, so how you would add Freon. And it has your normal radiator, and then it has the AC condenser, I believe, in the front. It's not leaking, this is just grease that dripped off of the front sway bar bushing. Pretty beefy tie rods. Beefy brakes. Now I know the machine's pretty dirty and it's hard to see a lot of things, or how it would be when you buy it new, but I wanted to show an honest review of really putting this thing to the test and how someone would use it on trails, dusty roads, a little bit rougher terrain. So it doesn't come with lights in the bumper holes. I put these in. It does come with the factory Polaris winch. It is wireless. The bumper's pretty stout. Good tie down points in the front, or if you're gonna run a doubling block back. And this is pretty cool to me, is you can pull this grill right out, and it makes it very easy to clean your radiator and the AC condenser. So that's pretty cool. Snaps right in. And I'll open the hood, just these two latches. So here we have the intakes I was talking about. One is your air filter and the other is your belt intake. They're just open, and I saw some people online say either put an outer filter on it or some kind of screen mesh, you know, to keep varmints out or those mud wasps. I'll probably do that pretty soon. Here's your coolant reservoir. There is coolant in there, it's just dusty. And here is your HVAC filter. I already banged it out once when we were up there. Got a little dusty, but I keep an extra set actually in one of the pack outs, so if I was riding in a group or a lot of dust in front of me, just help the AC system breathe a little better. Some people say to cover them or put them in the cab, but I like the option of getting fresh air. So far that's been good. Here's your washer tank. It actually holds a good amount. That whole trip we were on, you can see, pretty dirty, dusty. We used the wiper a good amount and the spray and never had to top it off. Another cool thing that Polaris did was put the bus bars pre-wired in. So I believe 2 of them are power all the time, battery, and then the rest of them are key on power. That's where I tapped in. They just sell pigtails. That's where I tapped in to run these bumper lights. There is your wireless winch remote, and I believe these extra plugs are for, in this spot, if the machine had ride command and a radio, if it had a front camera, just some features that this one doesn't have, but plenty of room. It's sealed pretty good, no mud up here, just dust, so that's pretty cool. I just had to put the phone down to put the hood up back on. It's not too easy with one hand, you need 2, but it does clip on nice and secure. I added the mirrors. These are actually Flatlander Off-Road. They got a page on Facebook. I've seen other ones where you have to drill and add 2 holes, and they have ones that mount in your roll bar, but this was actually very easy. Just had to open a hole that was already there, a little bit bigger with 1 more drill bit size, and they clipped on. They fold in, fold out, fully adjustable, and they've taken a couple whacks and they've been really good, so no complaints with those. But the mirrors are a must-have. It has a rear view in there, I'll show you, but with all the stuff in the bed, you obviously can't see behind you, so I went with the side mirrors. So before we go in the cab, well, we can talk about the tires. These are just factory 29 914s Pro Armor, which Pro Armor makes a good tire. The rears are wider, they're 11s, so the rims are wider as well, which I think a lot of people go to the square setup with, you know, they do all 4 front rims. But I think with the weight and the stability, I mean, the wider tires in the rear, you know, I kind of like it the way it is. If I was going to go up to a 30, which might rub in the front, maybe I'd go with the square setup. But for now, you know, these tires have 1,000 miles on them. They still have the, you know, still have the little rubber tits on the tires, and you know, we probably did, out of the 1,000 miles, you know, probably 100 of blacktop, you know, maybe less, but just in between, going to towns, getting lunch, and I'm really impressed with how they're holding up so far. We did get one slice in the back. I had to plug directly in the middle of the tread, but the rocks and shale up there, you catch one that's sticking straight up, it's just what happened. So one little plug I'm not going to complain about. But I did see one day when I was looking it over, the front diff looked a little wet. The seal, it's kind of hard for me to get in there, but it is wet around that. Couple miles or a couple days we pushed pretty hard. You know, we did you know, probably two and change, 200 miles, and you know, I wasn't being nice to it. It's not leaving a puddle, but I'll have to check into that. After I clean it, I'll drive it some more and see if it's still leaving some residual. All right, let's start with the passenger side. The doors, the latches, everything works good. You might think the door's shut, but there's still a lot of push. So what I've noticed with this cab is I guess it's a good thing, but it's so sealed up that unlike a pickup truck or you know, a car, they have vents behind the cab or in the trunk that when you shut the door, they open and let the air out. This is so tight in here that they fight each other. So what I noticed was if my girlfriend got in or got out or I was getting in, I would roll the window down just a crack, just to let that extra air out, and the doors would shut so much better. The other thing that a lot of people say about these doors, and I actually did it myself, they come with just a rubber door stop. So this door right now, I got these, they're like Jeep paracord ones. They work, they're pretty good. I mean, the door's stopping about, you know, 90 degrees. The rubber ones would just let you go, let the doors fold all the way back. And I was conscious of it. My girlfriend, you know, not so much until it happened the first time. The door swang open on a hill and it bent this hinge all the way back to the bed. You know, right now I can almost get my finger in there. So because of that happening, the door wouldn't shut right. She was constantly slamming and trying to get it. So I lifted the bed and I bent it back and problem solved. I mean, there's a lot of adjustment in both of these hinges. So, but it's got the compartment in the door. I don't know, 3 water bottles or what have you. You can't put anything tall in because it does have to go underneath the seat, which is my next I guess topic. So I just like to tuck this in. Seat goes up. It's got a nice piston on it, makes it easy. And I put these mats in. They're just a stall mat from Tractor Supply. I just cut them to fit. So there is another 5-gallon bucket ring. I guess don't re-engineer the wheel. It fits perfect. The seat shuts, doesn't hit it. There's still enough room for this to close in the cab. A couple companies make a compartment, but with the doors, it'll hit it. So this worked perfect. You know, she put all her daily stuff in there, and simple, but works. The rear windshield, these tabs do flip, so you can pop the rear windshield out. I had the windows tinted in the rear window, and they popped it right out and tinted around it, and it worked out good. It also helped cut down on the heat in the cab, which is a lot of people talk about, which we'll get to that. Seats, pretty comfortable for not being buckets. I talked to my girlfriend. I said, what do you think? You know, you rode in it just as long as I did. We did 5, 6, 8-hour days in it. Not bad. She's smaller. You know, the bolster is a little big for her. She slid around a little bit. The one complaint she did have was only one grab handle. She tended to hold onto the door a lot because the grab handle was a little far for her. I know on the Generals they do like a stick, a pole to grab, or the Razors, they have a bar that comes out. It would be kind of nice to see something like that, even if it flipped down or you could take it off. But on a little bit rougher trails, it would be nice to have something. I know this is more of a farm, ranch rig, but obviously people are going to buy it to do what I'm doing. So that was the one thing she had to say. And before I put this mat, is, you know, an inch mat, she touched the ground but dangled a little bit. So that helped. Said the seat flips up nice. Under here, I just have, you know, some of the tools that Polaris came with just to keep them from banging around. A little paracord. So there's a little compartment here. There's your battery. So you have your battery and your fuse box with all the fuses. Sending unit for the fuel tank, solenoid. There's actually the back of, I believe that's the compressor. Yeah, that's the AC compressor. And like I was talking before with the air filter, I mean the oil filter, you can't really get to it from here because your intake tubes run all the way up, you know, up the middle into the hood. So it gets a little dusty in there. I'll have to lift that up when I wash it, but not a big deal. They do a little, you know, they do just a little foam seal around the outside. I guess it works. It works. Pops right back in. Lots of cup holders. 2 cup holders here, 2 on either side there, 2 up here. I have the tablet mount in right now. This is where your ride command would go, or a lot of guys are doing a 2-speaker stereo. I don't think ride command and the stereo and all that is worth that much extra money. My phone, that's what I use the Polaris app on. This, we have a couple different GPS apps. Really perfect. It's big, you know, she can unhook it, my girlfriend, and use it and find our next destination. And my phone with the Polaris app, it's always updating, so we don't have to hook to Wi-Fi. So I'm pretty happy with that. The cup holder, you can see there's a little bit of a gap here. I haven't pulled this off yet, but a lot of heat comes up through here because your coolant lines are down there. A lot of heat, so I see a lot of guys are using like a heat blanket or a noise canceling and keeping the heat in the, you know, in the tunnel. You got your dash, so that's your turf mode, 1-wheel, posi lock, and then 4-wheel, and then work, standard, performance. To my knowledge, I've only been running it in standard, but I guess it changes your throttle sensibility. So I know on some of the other rigs, I believe Yamaha has it. You know, you have like rock crawling, you know, normal driving, and extreme. So that's just the touchiness of the pedal. That's what I'm to believe. Windshield wiper on, sprayer, climate control, 1, 2, 3, AC. So that's to turn your compressor on and off. If you don't have that on, you're not going to get cold air. It also says defrost, but like on a pickup truck, they go hand in hand. Your heat and your cool. 2 USBs on this side. This is your normal trickle charger. So that's pretty cool. You just plug it right in if you want to charge it in the winter or keep the battery maintained, and then your normal 12-volt cigarette lighter. We ran 2 phones charging, a tablet, and I also powered my Milwaukee charger, my M18 and M12 charger, while we were driving off of the 12-volt. No problem. Like I said, this machine has an alternator, so I believe that helps a lot with you know, excessive charging and more devices in it, because it can handle more of a load. It's not just a stator style alternator. This has a little compartment here, just like a holder. I believe this is your heater core. So there must be fins in there. That's how you get your heat in the winter. It flows through that. I haven't had the dash off, but from what it looks, that's what I'm to believe. Another compartment up here, sealed pretty good. There's no dust in there, nice rubber seal. Glove box. Pretty big, not locking. If I could add one thing, it'd be that you could put a lock. You know, put your gun in there, money. The cab locks, so I guess kind of same thing, but redundancy is all right. And then the noise. So I'll start it up later when I get over to that side and go over the noise, but all I did was use this. It's a King speaker. Got it off of Amazon. It's gone over 16 hours on a single charge, and for the, like I said, the price, you couldn't beat it. So I just tuck it right here in between us, and it's plenty loud. We don't even have it up all the way. We can still talk, and it's perfect for the price. Nothing to hit your head on. Still get the extra compartments, no speakers. I mean, I like my music loud, but this is plenty for sure. So I'm gonna go over the windshield. This is a 3-position windshield. So you have closed, you can push it and lock it. One setting. So now the windshield's open about 3 inches. So that brings me to all the dust in here. You can tell the cab is pretty dusty. I mean, it was moon dust in Maine. No rain while we were there. It was dusty, bad. Before about noon every day, we ran windows open, and the windshield crack gets some breeze in your face, and it was good, perfect. But what we noticed was dust was coming in. You could see with the door, the bottom of the door is covered all right here. And I was watching, and dust was just shooting out. Back here, where the hinge is for the cab, there's a hole. Now I have it stuffed with a water plastic, but you can see the light in here. It was just pulling the dust right in. You could see it. So when the AC's on and the doors are shut, it was fine because the cab was pressurized. So that was your little escape, and it wasn't pulling dust. So that explains a lot of the dust, but like I said, we didn't want to just be stuck in the cab the whole time, just run the AC. You know, you want to enjoy the fresh air, but got a little dusty. And now the 3rd position on the windshield. Now I'm doing this one-handed. I mean, it's a little tough, but the windshield opens right up. It says to not go over 5 miles an hour with that up. Obviously, it could break and shatter, and that would be expensive. These are pretty pricey windshields. I'm not gonna lie, I probably did 20 with it open on some of the smoother trails. Just see how it was, and it worked good. The shocks held it up, and no complaints. I think that's a really nice feature for if you're hanging out or in the field, or maybe if you're hunting and you want to shoot out of the cab, I don't know. But really nice feature. The only thing that you get that compromises is the seal. So when you open and close the window, the seal kind of gets tucked in. I'll show you when I shut this. So the seal actually gets rolled under, and I was pressure washing this one day at a campground. I was just cleaning out the radiator, and I said, I'll spray the windshield, and a little water came in, and it was coming right up over and down through the hinge. So like I said, that rubber on this side, it's tucked under. You can see it a little bit. But it didn't, I would have liked it to rain while we were out so I could see how the cab, you know, if there's leaks while doing 20, 30 miles an hour through a rain or. All right, we're gonna go in on this side. Same deal. I have a water bottle, plastic, just blocking that. But you can see where all the dust migrated and next to me on the cab. So the rear view, like I said, tough to see anything behind you. That's actually a reflection off the windshield. I have the pack outs, and it's very tough to see. Originally they come mounted down here, so get a straighter shot, but was blocking my vision looking out the right side. So I moved it up here. There is another spot for it. It bolted right in, but it likes to rattle its way down. So just kind of left it down, but not in the way of my view. Headliner, that's nice. It's got a dome light. There is another bus bar back here, I guess, with the same plugs. So you want to add back lights or stuff on the roof, you can tap into that. The frame does have holes for snaking the wire through. They did a pretty nice job with that. Cup holder, same deal, key. I'll shut the door and fire it up here. So brake. That's good. So what would I say? Yeah, 1,267 miles on it. So you can see it shows your four-wheel drive indicator. So right now I have it in just turf mode. So only one wheel is solid. I'll put it to posi, and the light will come off. And let's see if I gotta put it in gear for anything to change. Yeah, so now they're both solid. And then four-wheel drive, they'll all be solid. So that's pretty cool. And that, I just come to a stop when I put those in. Oh, it's a little warm. I'm gonna kick the AC on there. So you can see the lights on. You might be able to hear it, but the fan will actually kick on. When that AC compressor is running, oh, just kicked on. The fan is always on. So, sucks a little more fuel. But I didn't notice too much of a difference. It's not too much louder. Everything's been good. You have different selectables. You can see RPMs up there, the engine temp, miles per hour, and you have those. You have your RPM, mechanical tach, and miles an hour mechanical tach. Then you can change the middle gauge, same thing, engine temp. This is how many hours left for your service, depending on what you have it set at. Engine hours, the volts, and then your 2 trips. I'm sure there's diagnostic mode or more you could do, but that's all that I have done. I haven't had a low fuel light come on or any check engine lights, so I don't know exactly where those show up or what these other added things are for. But you know, with the higher model, with the Ultimate or maybe the Trail Boss, there's other things. Power steering, you can turn this thing with your pinky. It is, I have not been in a side-by-side with steering as easy as this. With bumps, with anything, no issues. Obviously the tires aren't big, they're still stock, but just handles so nice, doesn't rip out of your hand. It is adjustable. Let's see if I can find it. So you can run the wheel up like a city bus, or you can put it all the way down. Wow, that goes real low. Little note about that. When I got this machine, I was about 70 miles in, and the machine kept stalling. Couldn't figure it out, kept blowing fuses, called the dealer, they weren't sure. You know, so you start chasing grounds and pinched wires, and it ended up, I don't know if I can see in here, there's a wiring harness, yep, you can see it. The wiring harness wasn't zip tied. I zip tied it. It was rubbing the universal joint for the steering shaft. So from 70 miles, it was just going back and forth and just rubbing the wire and was blowing the fuse every time I tried to start it. Thank God someone had the same issue on a forum. After a couple hours of us searching on the side of the trail, found it, pushed it out of the way. All good. Took it apart, fixed it correctly, fixed the wire, zip tied it up. Only issue, did the guy at the factory forget to put the zip tie? I don't know. This is my 3rd or 4th Polaris. They're known for tight harnesses, stretching it. I mean, it's dirt gets in there, it wears, I get it. At 70 miles, a little unacceptable, but I wasn't gonna bring it to the dealer for such a small issue. Glad I figured it out and didn't have to get towed home. That being said, I just put over 1,000 hard miles on this and nothing came loose, nothing rattled, no issues, never stalled, never had a problem starting. And you know, I'm pretty stoked with it. A lot of people talk about the shifter. Very easy. I'm not on the brake. It's so nice shifting. Goes in no problem. The only thing I can say about that is when in high, there's a little bit of a rattle when you're going about, we'll say 3,500 RPMs and lower. Haven't done that fix yet, but I guess behind the shifter, there's actually a pin and a cotter pin and a washer that holds the cable to the shifter. Well, that cotter pin and washer are just rattling back there and making the rattle at the certain RPMs. So a lot of guys just pop this dash, go in behind it, and put a zip tie on there to keep the rattle down. I just haven't. I almost got in the habit of just holding the shifter, you know, just giving the shifter a little push when I'm driving, when I'm at that RPM. Once I'm past or below it, it's fine. No big deal, I guess. As far as the cab goes, I mean, power windows, they work great. They're fast. They got some, you know, some blue lights lighting the cab. The dome lights are really bright, LED. The headrests, they're hard as a rock. Obviously, you should have a helmet on, but yeah. Well, that's about it for the cab. I guess vents. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's one down there, 7, 8 for your feet. Plenty of vents. My girlfriend did notice that when she was adjusting her vent to her, she was unscrewing it. It actually unscrewed the bezel out of the pipe that's behind it. So now, which I always do anyway, but I just get in the habit of always turning the vent to where you want it clockwise, so it threads in, not out, if you ever had that issue. But that's about it. Thing's been running the whole time. I'll take you for a test drive later after I clean it, and you can see the cab noise in there, but it's really good. I mean, the cab's a lot better sealed than a lot of models. It has some sound deadening. I mean, just the, you know, I don't know what you'd call it, the headliner material. If I did take that off and put like the actual mat, the sound mat, I guess it would make a big difference. A lot of people do that, but it's still a side-by-side. It's not a truck. You're gonna get a little bit of motor noise. Got it up in the air. Let's take a look underneath. See what we got. Little plastic A-arm guards. Nothing underneath. Ball joints. So this is metal. A little area, and you go back to plastic. This is probably 1/4 inch plastic. Sealed pretty good, wraps up in the front. I know we slid on a few things, hit a couple rocks. You can see, you know, a little bit of rust marks here, but it does go back to metal there. So this is metal. This is the motor drain. It's pretty close. I mean, if you hit something good, you might catch it. I'll have to look into getting something for that. And then here is your transmission drain and your rear end. That one's tucked up a little bit higher. And metal all the way to the hitch. The rear, no guards. And then I did see this. So the gas tank is right here. I mean, you could throw a couple rocks or stick or something. I'm sure they make a guard for this. I'll have to look into that as well.